Well done. You found a way to connect to the internet. Welcome to the QAA podcast, episode 386, Operation Puppet Master, a pilled government's investigation. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rocketansky,
Liv Agar,
and Travis View.
Ooh, this is a tantalizing title, Travis.
Yeah.
I must say, I have no idea what's to come. I'm coming in totally blind. I don't know about you, Liv.
Yeah, before we started recording, Jake was like, I wonder if this is good news or bad news. I wonder if this is going to be more information about... Maybe one time we start recording an episode and it's actually good news. I don't know. I'm also holding out hope.
It's just like coming to work is like, and I use the word work very loosely because it's very fun and I am the most grateful every day that I get to do this for a living. But like coming to work, it's a grab bag. Like you never know if you're going to be like very quiet afterwards or like kind of depressed or shocked or like mad, like some new way in which the world is deteriorating and reality is degrading, one pixel at a time.
You know, I think that just for fun, to switch things up, we should do an episode that's all sunshine and puppies, just because, it is kind of unrelenting, but, it's the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah, I could think of something. And it's of course, only, like, the people that you hate's lives getting worse. That's
Yeah,
the only angle.
That's the only thing that brings us, like, any joy is just we're, like, young siblings, and, like, one brother is, like, in a tantrum with the parents, and the other brother is like, oh, like, mommy, dearest, can I get you something else? Like, just really needling it in.
It's like being one of the Three Stooges when the other one gets poked in the eye and you're like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, or the jackass like cast member who like doesn't have to get like jumper cables attached to their nuts.
Yeah.
But we digress. Travis, please, what are we in store for this afternoon?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about, I think it's a most interesting topic, talking about conspiracism, about what happens when the people with like the power, and the influence and, and the mandate of government are kind of pilled and then pursue investigations with these pilled assumptions.
It's like they're kind of Marjorie Taylor Greening themselves.
Yeah.
To a certain respect.
Yeah, it's not great. So, I mean, yeah, this is based upon a bunch of documents that have just been released this past week, and I haven't seen anyone go through them that thoroughly. I'm going to try and do my best. I read through like a ton of them, so I want to summarize what they reveal about this pilled government.
Excellent. Yes, this was always my like greatest fear is that like when all else failed, that a pilled government would create a QAnon. They would use it as almost like a model and sort of, oh God, there's a smart term to describe this self-fulfilling prophecy, maybe is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that sounds right. On January 8th of this year, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and Vice President J.D. Vance held a press conference one day after an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. During the press conference, Vance revealed certain assumptions of the administration when it came to how protests are organized.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers?
Who paid for the brick?
Who paid for the brick? Is he literally doing the like brick pal? Like this feels like an old conspiracy and not even a very exciting one from like, I don't know, like 8 years ago.
It's a good example of like a fallacy in the conspiratorial like minded way of looking at the world of like, it can't just be that someone saw an ICE officer and saw a brick and was like, I know what I have to do. Someone paid for the brick.
Yeah.
Look. In city areas, we don't have things like bricks or other heavy objects just laying around. Everything is perfectly in order. No pieces are missing. There's not like you could pick up a piece of debris off a ground in a major city on a major sidewalk and chuck it, in the direction of your choice.
Yes, American infrastructure is not crumbling. There's no bricks laying around.
There is no bricks. If they're there, they must have been well organized on a pallet as if they came from, look, I don't want to name any names. Let's just call him G. Soros. Wait, that's too obvious. We'll call him George S. That's an old Simpsons joke for you, Travis.
Yeah, I think, he's like working on the assumption that like all of these left-wing agitators, like, man, I sure would love to do violence against federal officers, but there's just no bricks. I don't have the brick budget.
Yeah, how the hell am I supposed to knock this guy in the noggin with no bricks? You said Three Stooges, and it got me thinking.
Now, later in the same briefing, Vance acknowledged that he didn't have any evidence that Good had been personally paid to protest. But, that question, who paid for the brick, assumes that criminal activity is receiving outside financing. And the question, who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity, works on the assumption that people in the street are just the visible part of a command and control structure. In other words, a well-funded and organized criminal conspiracy. FBI Director Kash Patel also expressed similar ideas during a October 8th Antifa roundtable.
What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have.
Brother, this isn't an audition tape. You are the director of the FBI. He doesn't sound like he has any idea what he's doing. Oh, my Lord.
Now, this policy is consistent with Trump's presidential memo NSPM 7, which says this.
This political violence is not a series of isolated incidents and does not emerge organically. Instead, it is a culmination of sophisticated, organized campaigns of targeted intimidation, radicalization, threats, and violence. A new law enforcement strategy that investigates all participants in these criminal and terroristic conspiracies, including the organized structures, networks, entities, organizations, funding sources, and predicate actions behind them, is required. We will find the Foot Clan. Don't worry, they're somewhere in the sewers.
This paranoia that protest is inorganic and violence is explained by a conspiracy has left many people concerned that the government would pursue investigations and prosecutions that are not proportional to any actual threats to public safety, but would instead lead to investigations that are more proportional to their paranoid fever dreams of a well-funded hierarchical Antifa organization that is carrying out a conspiracy to destroy the country. According to recently available documents related to a grand jury indictment, I believe that those concerns have been realized. Homeland Security Investigations formally opened an investigation into left-wing groups in Minnesota 20 days after Vance asked who paid for the brick. But as Vance no doubt knew, Homeland Security had already sent undercover agents to meetings of organizers a month prior to that press conference. A report later stated,
The objective of these activities was to gather intelligence regarding any organized networks of conspirators.
The official name of the investigation was Operation Puppet Master.
Isn't the point of an operation named so that people don't know what you're doing?
Oh my God.
Original. It would be like if instead of Operation Sea Lion, it was Operation Invade Britain by the water.
It's true. This one's a little on the nose.
Yeah, who's the puppet master of Antifa? You know what?
Yeah.
Congratulations. They're never going to solve that investigation, and it's going to keep them busy for a while. So I feel like that's a win for them.
Yeah, it's just the name indicates that Department of Homeland Security was operating on the assumption that the protesters in Minnesota were being pulled by puppet strings, so they were tasked with going out and finding the puppet master.
Mm-hmm.
Or as DHS put it in their investigation report,
Homeland Security Investigations, HSI St. Paul, has identified an organized network of conspirators operating through online and in-person who are providing material support to violent opportunists and agitators involved in impeding federal law enforcement, rioting, destruction of federal property, and assaults on federal agents and officers. HSI St. Paul is actively conducting a thorough financial investigation to uncover the funding sources used by these groups and to detect any illicit transactions enabling further criminal acts. HSI St. Paul will use the results of this financial investigation to identify those responsible, disrupt ongoing and future unlawful activities, and pursue prosecution of the individuals involved.
Undercover agents attended public training sessions, union meetings, library gatherings, church events, and an anti-racist beginner boxing class. They recorded meetings, entered signal groups, photographed license plates, built dossiers on attendees, and pursued financial records from unions and nonprofits. A grand jury would eventually indict 15 people associated with Direct Action Minnesota. The indictment alleges that the defendants were involved in coordinated blockades, following federal agents, threats, vehicle damage, and in one instance, an alleged vehicle assault that caused bodily injury. All 15 defendants are charged with conspiracy to impede or injure an officer, and that is the only charge against 11 of them. Now, despite the name, the charge doesn't necessitate that the participants in the conspiracy were the puppets or the puppeteers of a vast scheme. A legal conspiracy can be decentralized or horizontally structured. Every defendant has pleaded not guilty.
Nice.
Now, the investigation eventually produced a PowerPoint slide with Direct Action Minnesota in the center and 18 organizations radiating around it. There are unions and like teacher organizations, socialist organizations. There's Veterans for Peace. There's a gun club, and there's also the Grease Pit Bicycle Collective. That's the center, the biker clubs.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of a shame that like this is fake. That there like isn't a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Like the federal government has to worry less than it does. I mean, you know, obviously the overestimation is tactical.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, to me, this seems like a group of people who hate the government and exercising their free speech, to talk about how much they hate the government and where to meet and what to do and how to push back against it. I mean, which, technically the right wing has always been fighting for the right to do, by the way. This is like the stuff like that when a tyrannical government is planning undercover agents in your community and trying to like pin you with crime so they can take you out of your life. Like, I mean, this is exactly what, I was told by right-wing extremists to be afraid of, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's because they knew it's like, damn, if I get in power, I know exactly what I would do. So, Now, the title of the slide was just The Conspiracy. None of these 18 organizations have been charged as like entities. The lines of the slide appear to like represent overlapping membership or affiliation, not payments or a chain of command or anything like that. A Homeland Security agent admitted that the chart depicts overlapping membership, not a conspiracy, when they testified to the grand jury.
This is kind of a breakdown. Like I mentioned earlier, with members of Direct Action Minnesota being associated with other organizations through the course of the investigation. This is just a snapshot of some of the other organizations that members are affiliated with that kind of comprise and make up Direct Action Minnesota.
But when the chart became public through a defense filing, it was like reinterpreted by conspiracists online. The Twitter account Amuse said this of the chart.
Hammer of justice. Through an operation called Puppet Master, the DOJ has exposed 18 far-left groups, including the AFL-CIO and SEIU unions, revolutionary groups, and Antifa.
Again, it's like, I fucking wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing here, yeah.
Yeah, they're not as organized as you might think.
We could be wrapped up in something like, they could call us, they could say that we're like Antifa radio,
Yeah. So, again, this is nonsense. None of the groups were charged. This is just organizations that the defendants were allegedly affiliated with. Now, setting aside the fact that indictment is not a conviction, it's like saying that the DOJ has exposed AAA because one of the defendants has a AAA card.
Oh, I see. All right. So AAA is funding. Well, they would have access to bricks, potentially, and dead batteries.
The administration began with the premise that opposition to ICE could not be organic, and that premise authorized an investigation, and the investigation produced this conspiracy chart, and the chart was then circulated as proof of the original premise. So today we're going to be talking about Operation Puppet Master, about what it looks like when a conspiracy theory acquires undercover agents and subpoena power.
This all feels very like late Russian Empire kind of coded, like the Okhrana and just like absurd. I think that's how you pronounce it. And these just like absurd conspiracies. Only like here again, like the actual activities of revolutionaries is way less than in that period. I mean, people are like, their response, this is the thing I feel like everyone involved in this, I've heard is saying that like the response to ICE, like they're happy that there is a response, but that it's been inadequate. That like if they really wanted to do a lot more, the actual institutions to push back are like not enough. Like civil society is not really reacting. American society in the contemporary period is very docile.
Yeah, they backed away. Essentially, people back away when ICE executes somebody in the middle of the street instead of, that move that you can do where you put your over the and sort of.
Okay, well, all right. Now we're going to have to censor you. It's like Julian Zapp censor you're taking is. All right.
I just saw it in a movie recently, or maybe it was like a video game cutscene. I'm not sure.
That is a very video game cutscene coded for him.
It really is. Brad shared this account with me on Instagram that was like video game death scenes, and it's wonderful. It's just like every death scene, like across like multiple generations of video games. I absolutely love it.
No, yeah, you're very proficient in like the God of War cutscene martial art.
All right, sorry. Let's go on. I'm trying to make jokes because I'm so uncomfortable by all this.
Defense attorneys through discovery have made public several reports of investigation detailing the activities of undercover agents in Operation Puppet Master and a related investigation called Project Whipple Shield. I was looking around, I was like, well, gee, is there like a difference between like an operation or a project when they like open a case? And no, there's not a difference.
Okay.
It's just these dorks. They're just going, I was like, oh, right, we're going to call it Operation Kick-Ass. And it means nothing. There are 14 of these reports available by my count. I read through all of them, but this is not all of the investigative activity associated with this operation. There are more that have not been made public yet for various reasons. Maybe we'll see them, maybe we won't. But the ones that are public reveal a lot about how the government is going about trying to prove that all protest and resistance is the product of a criminal conspiracy. Now, I want to start by talking about the preliminary investigations that led to Operation Puppet Master. It seems to have started with a single undercover agent who surveilled online and in-person activity in December. They operated through the signal name Peanut Butter Jelly.
Hold on, come on. That's exactly what I call Teddy.
Really?
Yeah, I look at him and I go, oh, peanut butter jelly boy. Yeah, that's exactly. So what, they got a tap on my dog?
I am really curious how they came up with this. It's like, oh, this is exactly what Antifa would like.
Yeah. I want to see how poorly they did at trying to
I can't
look like an Antifa leftist.
Yeah, I can't wait. I hope there's lots of records. I wonder if it's related to peanut butter jelly time. That is something that like a Mormon undercover FBI agent would think that's like hip and recognizable IP amongst a group of what I guess he believes are like communist terrorists. Oh man, I don't know.
Another example of how the Trump administration is a millennial occupied government.
Yeah. Yeah. They're referencing like classic old internet viral memes. Yeah.
Yeah. Icon has anarchism.
On December 3rd, the agent attended a publicly advertised virtual ICEWatch training. According to the report,
they urged participants to observe nonviolently and obey law enforcement commands while documenting themselves doing so. They also advised not to interfere with law enforcement activities and maintain a safe distance as required by law.
So this is their first attempt of infiltration. Kind of a bust.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's generally what you find is in these institutions, even if there are some radical people, that it's like we do not have the strength or capacity to like... One, also, it's like we know that there's going to be feds listening to these sort of things. Like if you just, to be able to attend this, you can just create a Signal account called Peanut Butter Jelly and go, so like, obviously they're not going to be telling you to kill federal agents.
Yeah. So this agent instead attended an in-person meeting on December 7th. This was the Upstander Legal Observer training that took place at the Partnership Academy in Richfield, Minnesota. This agent later reported at this meeting,
they urged participants to observe nonviolently and obey law enforcement commands while documenting themselves doing so.
All right.
Another bust.
Can't imagine. Fuck yeah. Very frustrating, I imagine, for this agent.
Can't win them all. We're 0-2, but, you know, as the IRA said to Thatcher, we only need to be lucky once.
Yeah, they only need to find like one violent, even if they're not Antifa, just one violent person in the area, maybe that they can, you know, pin it on.
On December 13th, the agent attended a meeting associated with the Sunrise Movement. They reported this.
Although one member of Sunrise explained that individuals who followed an ICE agent home and shared their personal information caught a case, and to not do that, another member of Sunrise explained that although she was not saying Sunrise would do this, it is harder for all participants to be charged with breaking the law.
So this is what they got. They just a neutral description of the practicalities of how law enforcement works, while being appended to another explicit rejection of the idea that they should break the law.
Yeah, Sunrise is an institution I feel like that does a good job at kind of managing and pushing down like more radical, younger, like climate activists. That's like, well, let's not do that. So this is not a surprise that it's like, oh, we floating around to this idea insofar as you're speaking about it, then being like, well, let's not do that. They're going to catch a case.
Yeah. So I guess if this is like a fishing expedition to find evidence of coordinated criminal activity, it's not going well so far.
If you look hard enough, you're going to find people, and maybe not. It sounds like they're having a really tough time in this case, but you're going to find people in every group that are willing to push things a little bit farther. Not because like there's somebody telling them to take it that far, but because they in their own mind have decided that that's the action that they want to take. And it's really hard to sort of like re-engineer that to create some kind of conspiracy.
I also do like the Sunrise member explaining like, not that we should do this if it did happen. It's like the in-person, the feds are listening version of saying in Minecraft. Like, if we did follow them home in Minecraft, like these are meetings where people know that the feds are listening or that they have to deal with some sort of possibility that that's the case.
After the meeting, the undercover agent was added to the group's announcement chat. After Sunrise canceled a demonstration outside of a hotel because it could not verify that ICE personnel were staying there, the agent proactively contacted an organizer and offered to help verify hotels. The organizer explained verification methods and offered to train the agent to approach hotel employees. The agent declined.
Doesn't sound like very good investigative work if you're declining.
Don't you want to learn their methods?
No.
They probably like, look, you just be really nice, call them up, just ask and say, hey, like, I don't know if you support ICE or not, but we're really trying to figure out, you know, usually you'll get somebody who's not, like, probably it's like, here's the best, like, most legal way to go about this, and like, it won't always work. And they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not interested in learning any more about that. I don't want to see the copy.
On December 22nd, the agent attended a meeting of Sunrise Twin Cities via Zoom. There, the agent learned of a proposed noise demonstration at an Egan hotel where ICE personnel were allegedly staying and notified management at Homeland Security Investigations. The agent then volunteered for Sunrise's action team, entered its breakout session, learned about chats for use for hotel scouting and checking suspected ICE license plates, and was added to a related Signal chat. According to a defendant's filing, Peanut Butter Jelly said this to a Signal chat that they infiltrated.
Also, V interested in the financial organizing piece. I like numbers and data. And marrying that together with propaganda, so would love to work on both sides of these groups! Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Oh my God.
One, I do love the Zoomer cadence here. I think it was smart to get me to read these off. Because that's probably, someone who looks like me is probably who they're using.
Both sides of these groups.
Like, they're really not trying very hard.
Yeah, I like, it's like, oh, could you tell me about like the financial stuff? I'm like into numbers. It's not like anything like serious.
I love numbers and data.
I love numbers and data. I'm autistic.
I'm autistic for paper trails.
Peanut Butter Jelly also said this as part of a further effort to learn about the financial aspects of the group.
Do you have a suggestion for a donation platform? I believe Open Collective, and the idea of asking our own banks what the looks like was discussed.
So I don't know. I wonder if these typos were deliberate or this person's actually
it's honestly hard to know, given how poor job they have done at trying to infiltrate these groups.
The agent, again, according to a defendant's filing, allegedly offered to design a protest flyer. I mean, this is also where it gets like really shady when they're like proactively like assisting in the group rather than like, you know, passively surveilling, which is like bad by itself, but like,
yeah.
On December 26, after a message reported an observer's arrest for allegedly following an ICE vehicle, the agent followed a posted link into a daily rapid response chat. The agent observed plate check requests, identification of suspected ICE vehicles, discussion of following ICE vehicles, photographing personnel, and sheltering undocumented people. The report did not describe the agent independently witnessing a completed crime. So this agent worked for all of December and didn't find direct evidence of criminal activity or any kind of like central conspiracy.
Yeah, just things that like you could know were happening if you looked on Blue Sky.
Yeah, or like out of your head, like being like an ICE vehicle. There they are. You know what I mean? Like that's not illegal. You can't just tell people like not to notice the guys.
Now, it appears, however, that DHS decided that they just weren't looking hard enough because they substantially increased their manpower and surveillance in January.
No more like Zoomer girls who can't spell things properly. They're like bringing in the big guns this time.
Yeah.
They're like only large, bald men with well-groomed facial hair. You know, listeners, if you have that look, obviously that wasn't meant to dig at you, obviously.
Okay, all right. It's like, okay, it's not a dig at you, but you look like a cop. That's all. A report about surveillance activity in January describes at least 3 numbered undercover agents plus several unnamed undercover agents. Contains 12 episodes preceding the opening of Operation Puppet Master on January 28th.
So they probably, the unnamed agents are like still at the like bicycle club hanging around being like, does anyone else want to do crimes?
Yeah, like there weren't that many organizations to begin with. Now that we find out that there are 6 agents, it's like what, one in each? Did they plant one in each spot?
You know, they attended like a handful of meetings. For example, in a January 5th meeting of Sunrise Movement, participants categorized proposed actions by arrest risk as saying like, well, if you do this, you're fine. If you do this, you might be arrested. If you do this, you'll definitely be arrested. But the report acknowledges that like no definite illegal action was planned. However, Homeland Security Investigations interpreted mere discussion of activity that can lead to arrests as indicative of a possible conspiracy to impede law enforcement.
I mean, they do have enough brains to realize that like, or maybe they don't, I don't know, that like obviously that at a Sunrise meeting in relation to ICE stuff, they know that the feds are listening.
Yeah.
But like, you know, again, like lack of evidence isn't an indication there is evidence somewhere further if you keep digging. It's more like this institution is probably not radical enough.
Yeah, they're really barking up the wrong tree here.
Yeah.
Also, like, yeah, what has this institution done that's warranted this much resources being poured into it? Like, they don't even have like a body count yet, really. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what are these? You got a couple angry people that are getting together on Discord and being like, all right, how can we combat this in a way that's satisfying to whatever, how angry you are about the situation?
I do think these people just don't realize that people find ICE abhorrent morally, and that like even if there is like not much on the ground or is relatively lackluster on the ground institutions to stop these sort of things, that like you will just get people who want to sign up. Like, where do I have to go to learn more so I can participate in ensuring that it's at least slightly harder for ICE to do this? They just cannot conceive of that being true. It's incomprehensible to them. So they're like, there must, you know, again, it's the conspiratorial mindset.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're treating just any kind of like organization to advance the interests of their community as suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Because like the interpretation of this that makes the federal government a bit more competent is that like, well, they're going to pretend there's a conspiracy to curtail civil liberties, and like there's a respect to which that's also true. But it really does seem like they probably also cannot comprehend that they are this like disliked. It's kind of a part of like the MAGA brain, I feel like, that they both like hate and revile the fact that most people hate them, but also just think like, well, no, the silent majority agrees with us, and people actually love ICE and what it's doing in relation to immigration. So surely the fact that people are outraged by this cannot possibly be organic.
Yeah, you know, in just thinking about it, it feels like they sort of view ICE as like just like the sheriff's department, and they're like, well, you can't like do that to the police, like you're gonna get killed if you try to run from the police or whatever. But it's like they don't understand that like from a civilian's perspective, like ICE is a new like them being out in the street executing civilians point blank is like a new thing that people are seeing. Like I'm sure Julian would have examples to bring up here that are not new. to. But like, at least for me as a casual, I would say average, like American, observer, like I've gotten significantly more radicalized in the face of watching what ICE has done out in the open, I would say, over the last year. And I don't think that they can comprehend that that's happening to a lot more people.
Yeah, there's this nuance with Renee Good being killed that, like, there's a respect to which, particularly for more marginalized people, that this has always been the case. And yet,
Yes.
like, the fact that they are doing it to, like, upper class white people is a sign of an escalation. Even if, like, morally speaking, this is the same despicable empire that's been doing this to people since its inception. And there's a through line of them doing this, of having this moral character. This is still clearly an escalation.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And so naturally, you're going to have people that are wanting to discuss that, and you're going to have people that are going to, thank goodness, they're going to want to push back against that. Like, I don't have the chutzpah to sort of like be out in the street. I did when I was younger, but like I don't anymore. And like I'm grateful for people that are putting themselves in danger and putting themselves in harm's way to stand in opposition to, ICE, including my own wife who broke the horn on our car, like honking around a hotel where ICE was at in our neighborhood until, in an effort to get them to leave. And like, that's all I know about like Antifa and organization and protesters. It's like people on Reddit and online and on social media being like, let's go be like obnoxious in like a peaceful way that like doesn't hurt anybody. Like that's always the core. And so of course, fucking dumbass like Kash Patel and these pilled idiots come in and they're like, yes, this is the violent communism. See, because like it couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah, they can't deal with the idea that they are generally disliked. They have to use conspiratorial cope. Be like, no, George Soros must be funding this, because it's not as if people just fucking hate us.
Nobody likes these guys. Even like good friends of mine whose parents were traditionally Republican and maybe on board with Trump like early on have long since fallen off. Like it's rare. I feel like I gotta go online and just like read through the trash to find somebody that's still defending these people. People who are outside, like, it feels like they've long grown tired of this bullshit.
After several more fruitless operations, they finally caught a break on January 13th. This was like after like a month and a half of undercover surveillance. They reported that they observed a crime.
They found a crime.
They found a crime. So on that day, 5 undercover agents were covertly deployed among protesters outside the Whipple building. One of those agents observed and recorded a woman throwing apparent rocks at government vehicles. The agent sent the video to a special agent, and the woman was subsequently arrested. Now, I tried to identify the woman being referenced here, and there were, in an earlier announcement, there were 16 federal defendants who were charged with violently assaulting federal officers and property on that day at that particular event. But none of those 16 were described as throwing a rock at a government vehicle. One woman was described as throwing a brick at officers themselves, but that doesn't match the description of what the undercover agent observed. So as far as I can tell, the DHS deployed 5 undercover agents to this protest, which led to 1 arrest and no charges.
I'm sure maybe the identity didn't stick. It's just like woman in brown outfit throwing.
Yeah, that's possible. They got the wrong person.
It's like she was planting she was pulling a She was throwing a rock against a militarized police vehicle. These guys are armed with, like, ARs with fucking holosights on them, and their non-lethal stuff can put can make you go blind, the rubber rounds, and okay.
I feel like this term is overused, but it's a very spiritually Israeli situation.
It really is. It's a real David and Goliath, if you will.
That is like characteristic of all the crimes reported by the undercover agents in these reports. As far as I can tell, there's like maybe 4 of them total. On January 14th, they reported seeing projectiles and fireworks directed at federal and local officers, but no perpetrator, arrest, or charge identified. On January 17th, an undercover officer observed a tall man dressed in black run from the crowd, throw a rock at a stationary Federal Protective Service vehicle, and retreat into the crowd. The information was passed along, and the man was reportedly arrested, but the report identifies no charge. Of course, like all of these, that's it, but like these are individual violent acts carried by people in public. It is far from evidence of a vast conspiracy that would require an investigation from undercover agents.
Once again, also with people throwing things that are very easy to find just anyway.
Yeah.
Just the most rudimentary weapons.
Yeah, these people are just like reenacting the Banksy, the famous sort of Banksy sort of thing. A rock is like the first weapon you get in in the in an FPS. This is like the thing where it's like
This is the Rust spawn. You spawn with
it's
this
like
in
use
Rust.
LB. Use LB to just throw a rock and distract the guard. I've been throwing rocks and distracting guards, zombies, and stuff in tutorials for decades. This is, come on. If this is what you need 6 undercover agents to go grab a guy who's throwing a rock at a tank.
Yeah.
Oh, cash tell. Oh, sad.
I mean, there is like a functional utility here of like they are trying to, encroach on people's civil liberties and do fascism. And so you want to make sure that like the protests to that are as small as possible. So the bake here, or their interpretation of where they're more competent, is you really want to shut that down and make sure it doesn't happen. But again, as we see, there's no indication that that sort of escalation was in the books. We didn't have the institutional capacity, or like the leftists, the resistance doesn't have the institutional capacity to think that that's a good idea. Because if you are just a couple hundred people who are, many of whom are not especially radical, who just don't want this to happen, you realize that, yeah, if you advise people, if you go to the Sunrise meeting where anyone can attend and you say like, we're going to buy guns and we're going to shoot the federal or whatever, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
What struck me through reading these documents is like the extraordinary amount of like manpower and resources that were deployed for this for very little gain, even assuming their turn. Even if I had thought this was a worthwhile investigation, it was an extraordinary waste. I think nothing illustrates this better than the single largest operation described in the documents, and that was HSI's surveillance of de-arrest tactics training that was to take place in Loring Park. So HSI assigned 2 special operations group teams to surveil it. So SOG 1 contained 9 agents and SOG 2 contained 11 agents. And in addition to that, there was 1 undercover agent in the park itself. So that is 21 federal agents surveilling 1 public event.
Half of the people involved in this are feds.
It's worse than that.
No.
So you might ask, like how many people are like in this training session? Like 21. They must have had to be briefed. There was like a big meeting room where there was someone with a whiteboard explaining what they were going to do, and they all loaded up in their cars and they all went to the park. I mean, there must have been hundreds of participants to warrant the deployment of 21 federal agents to surveil them. But the true answer is there were 0. So unbeknownst to the agents, like during this operation, the training had been called off. So according to the HSI's own report,
it should be noted that it was later learned that this training was canceled due to inclement weather.
So they just didn't get a text.
Yeah, they didn't. They weren't in the group chat for this one.
Wow.
Yeah, so their intel on this organization and associated with this training wasn't great.
This is what people are paying for. Like, they're taking money out of your paycheck to pay for this kind of shit.
This is another good example of also why this operation was so stupid, is that if they did have the capacity to have an armed conspiracy, like, you wouldn't get an in on it going to the Sunrise meeting. Like, this level of surveillance would not have detected any sort of, like, planned violent conspiracy to attack ICE agents. There would be people in black masks who come up, do the violence, and then leave. And you wouldn't have a signal group chat that's easy to get into if you're like, typing as we saw with peanut butter jelly, like that level of engagement. You wouldn't be in on the black bloc.
Yeah, I think it's because they're not actually looking for a crime. They just want to arrest leftists or self-identified leftists or self-identified communists even. I think that's it. And so, like, if they actually were cared about doing intel, somebody would absolutely know that the meeting was called off. The lady from Zero Dark 30 would have known, She would have known that the meeting was off and all the agents are out. How much money did that cost? 21 agents or however many people? Travis, like you said, that were behind the planning and doing the whiteboards and all right, guys, J-Sock's going to be, shit hits the fan. You want to get behind these guys, I'm just quoting Sicario because I saw it the other night. But like, like that probably happened for this and nobody was there. And if somebody was there, probably a couple yoga mats, maybe, I don't know. It probably still would have been a bust.
Yeah, again, like this is like basic how to de-arrest someone 101 meetings. These are not like, you're not deep in a communist organization here.
It's not like the guy from the other episode, Travis, who's teaching you how to disarm the 2 guns at once. It's not like they're even doing like any kind of combat whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd say that it was a little surprising that Homeland Security Investigations didn't consider the possibility that this event would be canceled because the temperature at the time peaked at 14 degrees Fahrenheit, or 10 below Celsius for the metric heads out there like Liv.
Thank you. I appreciate it. 'Cause it was cold.
Yeah, all the terrorists were like, too cold.
For the Kelvin heads, it's cold. It's very cold.
There are also northwest winds of approximately 12 to 18 miles per hour with gusts up to 25. So not a pleasant day at the park.
It's a beautiful image.
It is cold, very breezy, and they think, it's like, is this event still happening? No, they just posted around this park anyway to try and figure out what was going on.
I love the image of just 21 federal agents, or however many, just freezing in a cold park, below 10 freezing.
And the two Antifa leaders on like a nearby rooftop zooming in with binoculars and like clinking beers and like lighting up a couple of ciggies, to like see, we got them.
Or not even, because I don't think there's even that level of... It's
No, I
literally,
know.
they
That's,
literally just
that's
call
the
it
joke.
out. Right,
That's
okay.
the joke. Is there's
Okay,
nobody
yeah.
there. There's nobody
Yeah.
watching them. They're there for their own. They're there for purely their own energy and enjoyment.
I want to know about the people involved in this as well, whether they're as like stupid and pilled, because they really do not seem. This is painting a bad image of the FBI. They are very washed compared to their like Weather Underground days.
Well, I would say this. You have to remember, like, these people, they're not FBI. Like, I feel like if you are, a competent person who wants to pursue a career in federal law enforcement and, like, you're actually, good at that, you might wind up at the FBI. You might become a special agent. You might join the U.S. Marshals. You're not going to the Department of Homeland Security. These are the C students.
Right, I see. Which is probably maybe why it was the DHS that's setting this as opposed to an FBI.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's fake.
So I'm going to summarize the investigation, this 2-hour surveillance operation, the report beat by beat, to kind of like illustrate how the finest minds at the DHS are keeping America safe. So surveillance began at approximately 12:30 p.m. And the first incident reported was at 12:55. So nothing happened at all for that 25 minutes. At 12:55, an undercover agent sent to the surveillance team a photograph of several parked cars. The agent said the black car behind a red SUV is, quote, possibly the organizer's car.
This is like me in a video game when I'm like kind of unsure what the objective is. You're kind of like walking around the area for a little bit trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, like how to unlock the next sort of like a scripted scene.
Also, probably how they were viewing it. I'm sure they were a very video game oriented image of reality.
Yeah, definitely.
At 12:58, an agent walks past the black car and reports that it has a temporary South Dakota tag. An HSI analyst attempts to run the tag but cannot obtain a registration check because it is temporary. At 1:08, another agent sends more photographs of the car and the unidentified man sitting in his driver's seat. Now, at 1:14, there's a major breakthrough. The black car is identified as a Mitsubishi Mirage hatchback.
That's awesome.
They have the name, model of the car. They've been out here 45 minutes.
Let's go.
Black car possibly belongs to the organizers. We know the model now.
Can we get an agent in here who knows what cars are?
Yeah, can somebody who's played the recent Forza Horizon 6 get in here and identify this particular model of Mitsubishi and whether it's unlockable? Thank you. Over.
At 1:16, an agent sees two men believed to be associated with the Mitsubishi. One of them is carrying what the report describes as a Tupperware box containing radios. Now,
shit.
this struck me as very boomer-coded because they call any kind of like plastic container Tupperware.
That's true.
Tupperware box with radios inside. Not the best place to carry your radios, but
I don't know. At 2:05, an agent observes a person carrying an anti-ice sign walk to a blue Subaru, put the sign in the trunk, and drive away. HSI runs the Subaru's license plate. Other agents see three people get out of another Subaru carrying anti-ice signs.
Oh my goodness. Come on, this is profiling.
HSI runs that plate. Someone else leaves the pedestrian bridge and gets picked up by a Ford Explorer. HSI runs that plate. An agent decides that a silver Toyota Corolla is, quote, likely associated with the people gathering on the bridge. HSI runs that plate. At 2:29, with the operation nearly over, agents text in still more license plates from a white SUV and a black sedan, and that's it. That's the end of the operation. Nothing is reported about like what came of running all these plates, what the deal is with the radios. The report concludes surveillance was terminated and nothing further to report. And at no point does the report describe an instructor addressing participants or anyone practicing de-arrest techniques. That's what 2-hour operation, 21 agents, this is what they got.
What does that even mean, de-arrest technique? Is that like in GTA when you have to slam Y really quick before the cops get you and you can kind of run away?
I mean, in this context, it means like it's an activist tactic means to use the power of a crowd to help free a person who has been temporarily detained by police.
Yeah, or if they're in the process of getting arrested, someone's kind of yanked out of a crowd and tried to be arrested, you pull them back, basically. Which, I guess that's illegal, I guess. They got close to finding someone talking about a crime.
I guess, but it didn't happen. So it's
exactly,
like, again. But the amazing part to me is like what even more amazing is that according to the indictment, one of the defendants took part in this de-arrest training session. A paragraph 142 of the indictment says this.
On or about February 22nd, 2026, at approximately 12:30 p.m., Kennedy and others took part in, quote, de-arrest training at Loring Park in Minneapolis.
So this paragraph is presented as an overt act supporting the alleged conspiracy. So, like, what's going on here? So was the training canceled as the report investigation states, but despite that, the indictment alleges a defendant of participating in an event that did not happen? Or did the training actually happen per the indictment and the 21-man team at the scene, like, failed to notice it and therefore didn't report any actual training take place? Is this shit for brains like HSI agents or shit for brains prosecutors? Because there's a clear contradiction there.
Is there like one of the plates being ran was owned by the defendant, so it's like they went to the canceled?
Yeah, but it doesn't merely say it was present at a de-arrest training. It says they took part in the de-arrest training. But how could that happen when it was canceled and nobody in that 21-man team observed anybody doing any de-arrest training?
Yeah.
There was another, I think maybe more minor discrepancy between, the undercover reports and the indictment that I noticed. So on January 11th, an undercover agent attended an in-person meeting, and there, he says, people planned for an event that was to take place on the 23rd. And it says this.
Everyone broke out into groups for the role they were interested in for 123. Hard blockade, soft blockade, mass commuting, civil disobedience, and quote-unquote march.
This is referenced in the very first overt act described in the indictment, which says this.
During the meeting, attendees broke out into the following groups based on their assigned roles for a January 23rd, 2026 direct action.
It's like, you see the difference there? So in the undercover report, the attendees joined groups that they were interested in. But in the indictment, this changes to the attendees joining groups based on their assigned roles.
That's good work, Travis.
I don't know if there's a legally meaningful distinction between these two descriptions, but the indictment, the participants are doing actions that they were assigned to do. It implies a kind of a hierarchy, some sort of someone following orders. It's much more conspiratorial language because it changes from the attendees individually volunteering to the attendees doing what they are supposed to do based on their assignment.
Yeah, the first text sounds like a group exercise in a class or something.
Yeah.
Let's break
totally.
out into smaller groups and we can choose which,
Yeah, this to me sounds like the guy reading the report was interested in? That's not really, he's like, can we say assigned? And the guy's like, but they weren't assigned. He's like, well, were there assigned areas for each of the thing? And the guy was like, well, yeah, they said, go over here for this one, go. And he goes, okay, you can put assigned in the report. That's what it sounds like to me. It's a little bit of fudge.
Yeah, and this was what was presented to the grand jury. And it's it does sound a lot spookier when this group of people went to this organized event and then they were assigned different roles. That implies a command and control structure. But again, what that says in the indictment is totally different from the idea that people were they chose what kind of role that they could take part in during this event on the 23rd.
I wonder if there's no legal distinction there, but then it just sounds spookier. So they're like, well,
Yeah.
are they going to correct us on this? Is the defense going to correct us?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I suspect that's. I mean, that's it. I mean, I think part of this, the point of these investigations and this indictment, is to like make the conspiracy theory that the government believes seem real. So they're going for a rhetorical effect at the very least.
Yeah, doing a very poor job, I will say. Yeah, I mean, again, you can see how like a competent fascist government may try to make a conspiracy appear where there isn't, to just like crack down on any dissent whatsoever. But they don't do it like this. This is a much less competent version of that authoritarian fascist plan.
There's another great report which describes how 7 named HSI personnel surveilled 3 of the eventual defendants during the No Kings demonstration near the Minnesota State Capitol on March 28th. So here's what a 3-man HSI surveillance team observed when they followed one target.
0900, began surveillance. 0940, watch target leave home, enter his vehicle, and depart. Follow target to State Capitol area. 0945, watch target park near a, quote, No Kings parking sign and walk toward a large crowd. Agents lost sight of him. 10:15. Ended surveillance.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That's so that was that. Then here's what a 4-man HSI team observed when they trailed another eventual defendant.
0900, began surveillance at target's residence. 10:12, watched target leave home and followed him to McDonald's. 10:20, recorded target leaving McDonald's.
All right. 8-minute visit to McDonald's on the dot.
It's efficient. These people are efficient. They're trying to. They really need to be there to kill all the ICE agents. They know they can't spend too much time at McDonald's.
I believe he ordered a McFish.
That's how they got Mangione. If he spent 9 minutes at the McDonald's, they wouldn't have got him.
McDonald's is a fucking op. No wonder they put all those new screens in at once to order on. They're all tracking our locations and recording our fingerprints. Okay, back to the report. 10:29. Watch target return home. 10:39. Observed 2 women and 1 man arrive outside target's residence. Target came outside and spoke with them. 10:40. 1 minute later. Watch the 4 walk west and arrive at a bus stop. 10:45. Target put on a dark red scarf or beanie covering his head and face.
Suspicious.
10:56. Watched all 4 board a bus. 11:17. Watched them leave the bus near a redacted location. 11:22, last observed target joining a large protest crowd where agents lost sight of him. Man, they can't even track these people in a crowd?
You'd think that'd be the main thing you want to do, is see what they're doing in the crowd, but...
They've been trying to track people in crowds. I mean, you don't need any technology to do that. We've been tracking people in crowds for a long time.
I mean, it's so bizarre. It's like, what the hell convinced, people, a manager or administrator at HSI that like observing these people walk around and park and go to McDonald's was worth a 7-man team.
Only to lose them. Well, I think these guys just didn't want to go to the rally.
Go into the crowd.
Yeah, you could just go into the crowd. I think they were just they didn't care enough. Maybe they know it's a bullshit op. They're I don't want to fucking hobnob with these blue-haired, leftists. Yeah. They're let's go home, guys. Let's go back to McDonald's. That looked good.
There may be a contrast between higher-ups who are desperate to find some paper trail here because they promised one, and people on the ground who are why are we doing this? I don't understand.
It's they're do you want us to go into the crowd after them? And they're wait, and they're no. Nope, don't follow.
So I also want to share one instance from the report of 2 named special agents in which they almost got made while they're conducting surveillance.
At approximately 1840, S.A. Marco Saltarelli and S.A. Jason Prasnikar were approached by an unidentified male while sitting in S.A. Saltarelli's government vehicle. The individual stated that he was part of the community and asked if they were ICE. S.A. Saltarelli pointed to a safety vest and hard hat in his vehicle and told them they were not ICE. The individual stated okay, but said he would make sure their license plates were cleared. There was no further interaction with this individual.
So there was someone at one of these meetings was at least appropriately suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. They definitely were better at tracking the ICE agents than the ICE agents were at tracking the terrorists, or so-called, I mean.
Yeah, it's almost like one group of people wants this way more than the other. It's just different stakes for like tracking a group of people who like you obviously know aren't going to be doing much, or they're just purely incompetent. Compared to these people who are quite worried about ICE in their community.
Of course, a major objective of this operation was to uncover how these protesters were getting paid, how their bricks were being financed. So what kind of cash flow did the operation uncover? So on February 1st, an undercover agent attended a meeting sponsored by Twin Cities Direct Action that was held at the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church. There, an organizer said that $5,000 was raised for a blockade that was held on January 23rd. According to the report, the organizer went on to say,
out of the approximately 100 people that donated to the blockade, the majority of the funds came from only 20 to 30 people.
So they really identify the financiers of this action. Sure, there are lots of people who give small donations, but there are also like 20 to 30 people who have like 100, maybe $150 to spare.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that $5,000 raised by 100 people is the largest sum of money discussed in any of the reports or the indictment. The indictment also discusses a public GoFundMe that had a $10,000 goal and raised $2,000.
Which, yeah, I mean, nothing that I've seen described in counter protests here costs anything like more than just like a tank of gas, I feel like. They're not doing anything else. Like, there's organizing, people are showing up because they care.
Yeah. I wonder how much all these operations cost compared to the 5Gs raised.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's all said and done, it'll be millions. Because, again, this is a month-long operation that involves, dozens of agents. So besides that, the indictment says that one of the defendants was spending his own resources and posted a fundraising link. Another defendant circulated a fundraiser for travel, and there's no mention of how much money was raised, if at all. So, I mean, it sounds like they found, the $20 of mutual aid that's passed around among anarchists in the area.
Yeah.
This is, oh my God. Talk about a waste. And they're just gonna get. I mean, there's no way that they're gonna be satisfied with this level of nothing. I'm afraid that they'll just keep going until they eventually, most likely, entrap somebody in some kind of crime and, then become like a real nuisance.
Yeah, it wasn't like a small venture. Besides, the dozens of agents, analysts, and supervisors involved, they also involved, financial record searches. There were PayPal, Venmo searches. There was facial recognition, vehicle registration workups, undercover electronics, and extensive monitoring of signal groups and chat rooms. And after all of that work, the best they could find for financing was $5,000 raised by 100 people and a GoFundMe that fell $8,000 short of its goal. Now, the investigation into the assumed financial puppet masters also included an administrative summons to the Services Employees International Union for Fedwire transfers from January 1st, 2023 onward, clearly hoping to find that the SEIU was secretly funding Antifa or something, but search term hits led to ordinary national union transfers, stuff like dues, pensions, healthcare, annuities, investments, strike payments, and strike supplies. HSI also sent administrative demands to the organization Voices for Racial Justice for information on their PayPal and Venmo transactions, but nothing from these summons made it into the indictment, so it's safe to assume they didn't find what they were looking for.
Spoiler, there's nothing there to look for. They found what's going on, which is concerned people organizing to try to prevent ICE in their community, and again, as Travis said, passing around the 20 communal dollars. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that they're actually happy with what they found. I was again, I don't know if there's anything else I guess more dramatic coming down the pipeline, but really you indicted a handful of individuals that obviously not receiving any kind of outside financing at all. I'm going to follow this case kind of closely because I don't know, it seems remarkably flimsy to me. They're trying to portray just sort of general sort of organization for the sake of their community because they do not like ICE into some kind of criminal conspiracy.
Which they would love to do. I mean, if they could do that successfully, it would really nip any real resistance in the bud. So yeah, this is a concerning case. How is it going? do you think, as of now?
This is, I mean, like I said, it was just filed last week. Some of the defense attorneys have successfully requested discovery, and that's why we have all of these reports, because we know kind of like the underlying basis for that is being presented for the indictments. But like, yeah, this is just happened this week.
I hope these guys get their asses fucking handed to them, that this falls apart, and that every single one of these people sues them for wrongful prosecution or whatever the legal equivalent, whatever they're able to do, because this is just unfucking believable.
I mean, that seems to be the argument that they are going with, that this is nonsense based upon a conspiracy that the government believes.
Well, this, looking forward, hopefully this is another way that we can extract money from the government is after they botch their ridiculous investigations because they said something was true before it was true, and so then they had to make it true, which, as we all know, we were all 8 once. It doesn't go that well. These people can sue them into oblivion and get paid and make fools out of all of them and force them to resign, hopefully to be replaced by another creature of Trump's choosing.
Yeah.
A light in the darkness.
I mean, yeah, sometimes like you get the question of like whatever happened to QAnon, because like, people used to see it in the news all the time. They don't anymore. And like for that, like I usually offer 2 answers. Like number one, like there's still a very active community of like true believers online. They didn't go away just because it became like too tedious to keep talking about them. But the second answer is that like QAnon-style thinking got absorbed into the government. And I think like Operation Puppet Master is a perfect illustration of this. And like my guess is that the leadership of DHS like got into their heads that there had to be a vast, well-financed operation that was like responsible for protests and criminal activity done in response to the ICE presence in Minnesota. And like maybe they got that idea because like they're pilled themselves, or like they're acting on the directive of this pilled administration. And so like the DHS deployed this months-long investigation, didn't find a grand puppet master or some sort of top-down funding, but they had to indict someone. So they got this group of activists who were financing themselves and operating on their own personal initiative because they genuinely, in their bones, really hated ICE's presence in the area.
Yeah, I guess I wondered how much in the indictment itself does it specify that it's related to a grand conspiracy with like lots of money funding? Because if you specify that in the indictment, it's going to be pretty hard to charge people who like...
No, yeah, the indictment skips all that. It doesn't allege like a conspiracy in the sense that this group of people receiving outside financing. It's more like the allegations that they're all aware of a conspiracy to impede law enforcement and they willingly entered into it. It doesn't say that there's any financing. So yeah, it's like even the indictment in that sense really toned down compared to like what the administration was trying to claim was happening.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing new with this insofar as like fascists and authoritarians have this conspiratorial way of thinking. But yeah, a lot of the times when fascists are doing crackdowns, they will have like some leftist conspiracy to point to that exists. Whereas it really doesn't seem like that exists here.
Yeah, it's really fucking pathetic. I mean, again, it's like how I'm like I can't imagine. I'm really curious what the hell's going on with the scenes. It's like someone like pounding their desk. He's like, find me the Soros money or something.
Yeah.
I mean, probably that. I mean, it's like you nailed it when you were talking about in the intro of the episode. It's like what happens when conspiracy theorists, especially conspiracy theorists who've built large audiences on social media claiming that they're going to get to the bottom of it, actually get into positions of power. We've quickly discovered that these are not the types of people that are going to come forward and say, you know what? Fucking actually, there's nothing there except with the Epstein shit. That they did it with that, which is fucking hysterical and terrifying. They were like, looked into it. Actually, guys, there's really, hey,
Yeah.
But no, they're just gonna create it and be able to say it. And what I think this does is it creates a paper trail within administrations, creating a precedent of implanting undercover agents in these types of groups, going after or these types of meetings. I would say it's not even groups; they're just picking organizations that are left-leaning who are angry about ICE invading their neighborhoods and potentially killing people, as they have done in many other neighborhoods.
And there's a sense in which that's not new, because you can even see in like the Sunrise meetings that it's clear the people talking know that the feds may be listening. The thing that might be new or extraordinary here is that like there's an indictment despite the fact that they did everything knowing that the feds are listening and aware of what they're doing. So it's like even when you try to follow that rule, they're still going to attempt to charge you. The question is just whether that's going to work.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of like sunk cost fallacy going on here. It's like you can't, if you're some sort of like leader at HSI and you are responsible for dozens of agents doing a months-long investigation, you can't go back to the DHS and say, well, we didn't find anything. No, yeah, it was like what you said we should look for wasn't fine, so we're not going to indict anything. I don't think we should pursue anything. That's not going to happen. Again, they have to justify why they were out in the field doing all of this for months.
I mean, there already has been like a horrible precedent, not I guess in the legal sense, of people being charged for just kind of being vaguely involved in anti-ICE protests, like with Daniel Sanchez Estrada, who was charged for 30 years for like functionally moving magazines, moving anarchist scenes in relation to a protest, wasn't actually present at the Prairieland like ICE protest, but was involved vaguely with the people who were and got charged for 30 years as a result of that.
Ludicrous. Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like this is a message to anyone involved in the activity. Like, the government is pilled and malicious and crazy, and they will spend extraordinary resources to peek in on what you might think is a relatively insignificant meeting. They care. They give a shit. They will be happy to spend like ungodly amounts of money and manpower to peek in on what you're doing.
Have you ever walked to your car carrying an anti-ICE sign written on a piece of cardboard or poster board? Newsflash, hotshot. ICE is fucking watching you. The FBI is tailing you. They're surveilling you. Like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You just walk into a protest or being like, oh, you know what? Like, I guess nothing's happening today. Do you want to just go get like In-N-Out or something? Okay, cool. And you're walking back to your car and you're like hitting the pen or whatever, folding up your sign, just ready to go about your day, being like, oh, kind of bummed. Like I'd gotten sort of like amped up to go out and fucking like chant shit. Got all these signs. And meanwhile, there's like some FBI agent that's looking at me through binoculars. Like, that's crazy. I'm not a threat. None of these people are.
There is some concern in relation to like what happens when we kind of come to the discovery, if this becomes the case, that like peaceful liberal protesting, it also gets you charged and put in jail for an ungodly amount of time, for life. Like, does that increase how radical people are? If they're like, well, fuck it, if I'm gonna get charged anyways.
Might as well do something interesting.
And is that something the government wants? Is that like, because it seems like they want the conspiracy, and it seems like this is a point in which that sort of like anti-government power and organizational energy isn't powerful enough to resist. I mean, if the government has enough funds to pay 21 officers to go to a de-arrest seminar that doesn't even exist, it's concerning.
Yeah, the lack of crime is what's slowing them down, actually. It's like it's slowing them down because people are like not doing anything, and they're having to manufacture these like kind of very small charges to even get any kind of result.
Because I do think the government does realize, and it's pretty clear that they're pushing ICE as a secret police as the angle to devalue the components of the American institutions that are liberal, that care about human rights. And so they know that it's important to, if they want to do fascism, if they want to create a more authoritarian state, to ensure that ICE can do whatever it wants. That's probably a certain component of why this sort of response is disproportionate.
And to add to that, they're already planting multiple special agents into, identified, lightly organized groups. What's stopping them from taking it the very easy next step of just having the people that are planted in the groups do the violent thing that they can't get the actual participants to do?
Yeah.
Am I getting conspiratorial? I don't know. Like, I don't think so, given what we've just learned here, based on how far they're willing to go over nothing, like a total wash.
Yeah, it's not good, folks. It's not good.
It's not good, but you know what is good? This podcast. It has been for 8 years. We've started in August of 2018, and we're going strong thanks to you.
Wow, that's crazy. 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
Why does it feel like 8 years of Trump somehow? There were 4 years of Biden in the middle of there somewhere, but I don't remember what happened. Where did he go? Did we go? We've only been doing, and let's see, the podcast. Well, I guess Trump had already been elected. He had been in office for about a year and a half, right, before
Yeah,
QAnon
yeah,
really
yeah.
came into the picture, and he's only sort of halfway through his second term. Okay, so that makes sense. We've got 4 years of Biden, and then 4 of Trump on either side of us. We've got two and a half more of Trump.
It's been Trump world since 2016. That's the takeaway here.
I know. I feel so bad for young people that like the only politics they know is Trump. There was a
Yeah.
time when we didn't give like a fuck about. I mean, everybody was generally in agreement that Bush was like a piece of shit, and there was no real argument there. Everybody kind of hated the government.
It was interesting not experiencing any of the like millennial hopium from
Yeah.
Obama. Yeah, it's really like old, kind of hated Obama when he was kind of toxic politically.
True.
And then just Trump.
Yeah, you didn't experience like Obama winning and thinking that the world, that we were heading on the path to, the picture they use in memes. They're like, oh, if markers had never been invented.
Yeah,
or
and it's
whatever.
like a futuristic society. Canadians is slightly different because we had Trudeau in 2015, which was like kind of our Obama. And like, first is tragedy, second is sparse. We get like the blackface instead of the black president.
Yes, and now he's what? He's like going to Coachella with Katy Perry.
Yeah. And we have like functionally a conservative government. So I think that delayed millennial hopium here is also just firmly dead.
It's still better than what we've got going on, and I firmly have my eye planted on Jan 2027 because that is when the Canadian housing ban lifts for Americans. Americans can buy property in Canada starting in 2027, unless they renege, which I would understand at this point.
So that's where we are right now for however many years of Trump world. This podcast, Jake is thinking about buying property in northern BC.
Yeah, I got a buddy who lives up in Mississauga, and I went to visit them, and it was so fun, and just like, it just was better somehow. Maybe it was just different from here, and to anywhere different from here feels better right now, because once again, like I asked at the episode, I wonder what's going to happen, if we're going to be happy or sad by the end, and I'm feeling sad.
I will say visiting America does feel like just a slightly off Bizarro Canada. For someone who is like norm is Canada, it's like, yeah, you guys are evil in the same way we're evil at a structural level, but like you see it a bit more,
I was at an estate sale the other day, and I went to go check out, and she was like, oh, I accept Zelle. And I was like, oh, sweet, I have Zelle. I've been using it for years. And I go to get her QR code, and it was like, which account would you like to use Zelle for? And I was like, well, the account that I always use it for. And it was like, well, your email is already associated with a different thing. And I was like, I can't even buy this. What was it? It was a little TV. It was a little like tiny little CRT, or not like an old LCD TV to play little games on. I couldn't even get it because the Zelle decided it had logged me out and it didn't want to log me back in.
That reminds me of a story when I was on the like Coachella shuttle. The person who was like driving it had like posted the QR code for like their Zelle or whatever, and on the announcing thing was like, if you would like to tip me anymore, please send me money through my like personal money transfer account, which is like a very depressingly American sort of thing.
Yeah, and a very nice Canadian thing of you to take out your phone and be like, all right,
I don't have
scan the QR code.
Canadians, we have e-transfer. We do not have any of the funky applications.
Wait a minute.
We have a money sending thing that's nationalized, so I can't use any of the...
So you can't do like QR codes and Zelle or Venmo or like anything basically in America. You can't go to a garage sale in America.
No, you can not in America. No, you can send someone money if they have a Canadian bank as well, and like their number or email, which is a much easier system. But also, I can't send Americans money. But it's just slightly
So
worse.
bizarre.
There's a bit more individualism. There's a bit less of a safety net, and subsequently, people are like more likely to ask you for tips because they're participating in a shuttle service.
Mm-hmm. And they have to like wait till like 2 a.m. after everybody trudges out of Sabrina Carpenter, sweaty, and their drugs have worn off, and oh god, and then the guys, oh god, some of the worst guys on the planet. Liv, are you gonna go back this year? I think I'm going back.
I don't think so. I was debating it, but it seems like it was just a thing to do, and now I'm like, that's enough, America. for a little bit.
Enough America.
See how
I'm so
things
jealous.
See how things turn out.
I'm so jealous that you can close the books on America for a little bit. I really wish that was something that I could do. Travis has the right idea. He lives out in the woods, so maybe I'll do that. If they don't let me purchase in Canada, if things continue to go this route.
That's also how I feel going to Hornby Island was like, I just need to live in the woods. Like, even here, you have the same feeling. I feel slightly more, it's a time delay. Canada is just America on like a certain time delay. Like, we'll get our own Trump.
Right.
And when that happens, I would like to be in the woods.
Yeah, Walden Pond life. Yeah, I think that's where we're all headed.
We're going to the woods. That's where
We're all going to the woods. We will be at QAA Radio, Rebel Radio. We'll have a signal out shortly in the next 8 years. The next 8 years of doing this podcast. Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, we did launch like August 20th, I feel like, something like that.
It was actually, the very first episode was if you check our Wikipedia page, it was August 11th.
August 11, 8/11, better than 9. Listeners, what a joy it has been these past 8 years, and it'll be we'll keep going until the wheels fall off, obviously.
And that's the fall off of society. To be clear.
Yeah, exactly. Not of the podcast. When I say the end, I mean of everything.
It won't be long.
Yeah. This show will be the final thumbs up, like going into the lava.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the QAA podcast. You can go to patreon.com/QAA and subscribe for $5 a month to get a whole second premium episode for every regular episode, plus access to our entire archive of premium eps. For everything else, we've got a website. That's QAApodcast.com. Liv, where can people see more of your work?
You can watch me on YouTube, Liv Agar YouTube, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/LivAgar.
Hell yeah. Go subscribe, folks. And Travis, anything you've got to plug?
No, I think I'm gonna plug stepping outside, getting some sun in your face, because that's always refreshing to me.
Absolutely, me as well. Get on your snake board, do a couple laps in the backyard, reconnect with that skater, that former skater in you. And until then, may the deep dish bless you and keep you.
We have auto-queued content based on your preferences.
I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc., and we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros Network, the Open Society Network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Funding Network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash, and it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem.